Hello, my friends. How are you? Welcome to Communication Lab. Today we are beginning with a new series of shows about the open dialogue. And my guest today is Katerina Ellam. She is certified rapid transformational therapist practitioner, a certified open dialogue facilitator, a numerology healer, and practitioner of the Akashic method. You can also have more information about Katerina on katerinaellam.com. And today we're gonna talk a little bit about the open dialogue. What is open dialogue for us? So maybe you can have any opinion, maybe form any opinion about open dialogue, and maybe connect with us and have some sessions, or maybe not. It depends. So, hi, Katerina, how are you today?
Hi, Israel. Very glad to see you, and hi, everybody. I'm very appreciate that you invited me to speak. It's very interesting for me to be involved in your project. I'm very glad to be here. Um, as Israel told, I'm Katerina Glebova. I'm Russian, but I live in UK not a long time. I have been here just 1 year and 3 months. So maybe you will be excuse me for my English sometimes, but I try to do all my best for you. So I work for Dmitry Shemenkov's online school. Even I stay in UK, I work online. So our school is open for everybody around the world. We have participants from any continents, from any time zones, and it's really very exciting. And also, I work as a practitioner of RTT therapy. This is my main focus, and I work also online and have numerology consultations. So now I'm 51 years old and have an adult son. All my relatives live in Russia, so I'm here because I'm married Englishman. So that's something little bit about me.
Oh, it's,
If you want to know some more, just ask me.
yeah, actually, I would like to know some more because it's very interesting experience starting the open dialogue that actually was developed in Russia. And now, as a person who lives in Britain for some time, and we kind of experiencing some kind of cultural, differences. In the same time, the last year was about the quarantine and COVID, all that thing, and it sort of changed the world. So now I feel, in my perception and in my experience also, the last year is about global, going global, and something like the limitations and also the borders are sort of diminished, and it kind of new, like I'm trying my also my best in my English right now, and I'm really excited also about my English, and also about the experience of the new interview and about open dialogue. So it's very interesting for me. Katerina, it was very interesting to me to know what was the first time that, if you can remember, that you met the open dialogue.
Yes, it was very mm, unexpected. I've got a link from my friend on Facebook. It wasn't even private message. It was just published someone's post with a link without any explanations. And because I'm interested in this person, I thought, what is on this link? And through this link, I've got a video of Shemenkov's webinar about practice of silence. And I was attracted immediately from the first words on all this scientific base of our perception, how we perceive the world, how our brain works. And I listened to this with very big interest. And then I started to look for another lectures from him. And I've got a lot of new information, and I was really caught by this. I thought it's something I want to know more about this, and I have to be involved in this. So I thought this information in his lectures was so important for me, and I wanted to share this with other people. So I started to transcript this, to write these lectures, and just for myself, to understand it better, to remember this better, to uh, put this knowledge in my head in order to understand what is following for what, and how does it work. And then I decided to ask Shemenkov, does he need his lectures in text? And I started to find contact with him, and I found it. And I sent him a letter that I've got your lectures, I wrote them all, and if you need, I can send it to you. And he answered me. He was very excited, and he told yes, he would like to have this work done, and it was his purpose, but he never got time to do this himself. And he was going to write a book, and it would be very useful for him to have all this information written. And he invited me in his project in his school to be a participant. And we established like a collaboration. We agreed that I will help him to develop his school, and at the same moment I will study as his student at the first course of his facilitators. So this was a very big, very early stage of school when I attended to this project. Yes, and was interesting because I was really like in the roots of creating of this practice as this exists now in school.
So it was kind of a lot of time ago, about maybe 7 or
About
10 years.
no, it's about two or maybe now 3 years. So I have very strange relationships with time. So I never remember dates, even if I am numerolog. So I have just two stage for me. It was very long ago and not far ago. So and now.
Yeah, very nice.
So
Tell me, what caught you especially, what caught your attention, especially in that first moment that you met the silence, the practice of silence, and all that scientific approach that Dmitry goes with it, right? What was so catching? What caught your attention so much?
this part of scientific based, which he used in this lecture about our physiology, how our brain works, how long does it take to get signal from reality to our brain, how long this work going on in our brain when we starting to realize about which decisions we are going to make, and how we it wasn't So this practice of silence, this is one of the tools of open dialogue. And it's very similar with meditation. It's very relaxed stage of our brain when we starting to stop our thoughts, which all time going on in our head. And when we stop this process, our brain have a little break to do another job, not just boiling our thoughts all time uh, without any purpose and reason. And it started to check all our body, all our functions of our organism, how well it work, and does he need to improve anything? And this has a very strong healing effect for our body. So, and there are a lot of other scientific things which I got from this, and it was very interesting to do. And maybe I'm thinking now, maybe we could find these lectures in YouTube and with English subtitles. It maybe will be achievable and to your friends and participants of your groups to see these lectures, and maybe it will be interesting because it's a very big volume of knowledge and very interesting.
So, if I understand right, it was about something that was merging the meditation practice like samadhi or mindfulness, the different practices that use that silent approach to the mind, like to silence the thoughts, and also the scientific approach that Dmitri gave and all the background that it came from the health and physiology
Yeah.
sciences, right? It was like the merging effect that was what caught your attention so much.
Yes, but it was just only beginning. Then I started to realize more and more about social aspect of this practice.
Mm.
So physiology is just one part of this, but the most important effect, I think, it's uh, in our social life, how we communicate with people, because we have a lot of difficulties in building loving, supporting, understandable communications with our relatives and our close people. We hurt each other too much without understanding how it affects our health and our life in any aspect, in our self realization, in our uh, in any field of our well-being. So, and to communicate with through the feelings, not just through words, it's the most important thing for me.
No, first video that I saw of Dmitri was about 1 year ago, before all the practices. And what caught my attention was that it so resonates so much to the non-violent communication of Marshall Rosenberg. So
Mm.
I'm practicing that non-violent communication for a long time, and also use it in my coaching practice and NLP practice. So it was like taking that parts of non-violent communication, talking about the social fields and how the physiology impacts all this kind of health idea of well-being, and the self-realization, and also maybe transformational. But now you take that practice of silence, and then you talk about the scientific approach that actually very unique. And you're talking about the social aspect of the open dialogue. Why is that important in your in your opinion, to you know to to talk about social practice in your opinion? Like I come from the non-violent communication, it's very obvious to me. But what was obvious to you, because you're coming from the Akashi method and you are also transformational therapist, a rapid transformational therapist. I don't know what is all about. So if you can share with us about that thing, and also connecting to the open dialogue, what was so resonating to you?
Yes, it's for me. It's like puzzles which I collect in one beautiful picture altogether, and use all tools for improving people's life. People life. Uh, for First of all, I want to tell that in general, in open dialogue communication philosophy, there is no something new really. It's just another type of another way of explanation of very knowledgeable things, and we got them from any religious, and from thing like Akasha method, where it's a little bit like esoterical things, but and then in on the timeline, I studied first Akasha method, then open dialogue I met, and then I studied rapid transformational therapy when I already was here. It's English therapist, world-known therapist Marisa Peer developed this method, and I was very excited to study this on the base of Akasha method and open dialogue. With all these knowledges, this therapy can make magical things. So for me, open dialogue is very important, as you told, in social communications between people, because there are so many misunderstandings on all levels in our families, between parents and children, between bosses and employees, between co-workers in our job, uh, between even bigger systems, because open dialogue philosophy explains how all living systems communicate these principles, which open dialogue based, this practice based. They are from physiology. They are very proved scientifically. We can trust them. I trust them, and they replicate themselves in any level of functional systems, living functional systems. So we can see our body as a system, our family as a living system, our organization we work for as a living system, and even our states and all planet. And we can see processes from base of this simple principles, and understand how things are going to develop, and which is your role here, which is your purposes, and you can act much more carefully and mm, non-violence way, because sometimes we hurt each other without any understanding, and this misunderstanding they ruin very good relationships. They don't let us achieve our goals. We lose sometimes understanding with our and connection with our children, and we feel very separated, alone, not satisfied, and we can avoid everything of this. and we can improve our life and make it much more pleasant and beneficial and achieve more. So why not to use this? I can't see any reason.
It's very interesting because when we're talking about the social fields, for me it's more about the emotional aspect, or maybe in Kabbalah tradition there's about love your neighbor as yourself. I'm coming from there. I'm a teacher, a Kabbalah teacher, so for a long time. And for me, the open dialogue was about the emotional contact with other people when using the right, principles and of emotional contact, of sharing my emotions in healthy way. I'm actually not only improving my relationships, but also it's magic. Okay, it's magic transforming myself. Like it was like blowing my mind how it can happen all together. Now when you're talking about the systems and the hierarchy and how it can connect it even to the purpose, like so like everything is connected, like like we say, but there's something about the transformation now that I think about, and you as a facilitator now of the open dialogue, maybe you can remember your personal transformational moments or the groups that you are holding for a long time from now, as I know you. Can you share like more the most remarkable moments that like got in your memory and you're like, wow, it was like how it can happen?
Yes, this magical moments, I can say I'm having every group, I think. And with myself and with other participants, when I, as a facilitator, can see their insights and transformation and understanding. The most important thing for me is acceptance, which I could develop in this practice.
Mm.
As you mentioned, this principle, love your neighbor as yourself, it's contains in any religion, not only Kabbalah, in any in Orthodox Church, in Christian, it's everywhere. But it's difficult to understand,
Yeah.
and it's like a sound without feelings.
Mm.
And I didn't take it from religion, from anything. And for uh, people, it's more close to uh, another way of thinking sometimes. Uh, what do you want for your neighbor? What do
What you want to do to your neighbor, don't do it to yourself.
yes, like what do you want for yourself? But your neighbor will have twice, and everybody wish something like I wish my cow will die. So this is what is more spread attitude to our neighbors,
Mm.
and this also has a base because we all taught from the Darwin theory that the evolution of the world is on the achievements of individual,
Mhm.
but it's wrong base of knowledge because uh, evolution is driven by cooperation and uh, on the ability to find the best solution for the society, for group of people. So survive these communities that can better to find the best solution for everybody. who can cooperate, who can work together, listen to each other, and achieve the best results. And this society, as a group, can move forward and give their next generations to move and live further. So this is a very important thing, to listen to each other, understand each other, and accept different opinions. This is the most critical thing for me, to accept different opinion, because we always was taught to defend our opinion, to be a leader, and to move forward without thinking about others. And if you are leader, you are good. If you are not leader, you're not good. So, but not everybody can be leader. It's not connects with this living functional system principles. So the most important to understand purpose of all system and coincide with this purpose, and understand your own purpose and how they can match with the purpose of system. So this everything about collaboration and finding benefits from collaboration. So this is as a base for this understanding how to love your neighbor, because from this system you can understand that you depend on your neighbor and your neighbor depend on you, and together you can achieve more. And this is the effect who, how I can't remember even in Russian how to call this effect of synergy and emerging new results, which one individual can't achieve without system. System can achieve another results which it's impossible to achieve in separation.
Very interesting. It was about the acceptance, as I heard. It was about the collaboration. It was about teamwork. That you
Yeah.
find that there's something new that we are kind of exploring. I know in a business, in high tech, startup nation, Israel is today is the startup nation, the second Silicon Valley on the globe, and they're talking a lot about the teamwork, and the teams are winning and not the leaders that stand on their own one-man show and all etc etc and etc, and it's very interesting.
Yes,
But
and another important thing I want to focus attention on is about listening, listening with different purpose. We are taught to listen to each other with the purpose to introduce your idea better, to bring it better, not for understand other person better. And in groups of open dialogue, we study to listen to, I can say, through your heart, not through your ears, and understand each other, like put yourself on other's place and feel from that place, that situation, and understand person what he wants from his point of view. And then when you can see by his eyes, you can understand him better. It doesn't mean you can reject your point of view. It doesn't mean you have to understand properly and pure his message. But because we always was taught to deliver our message and use all tools for this. If we can't put it on place and persuade our opponent, we try to use our energy to any tools like raise our voice, if we have any kind of power. For example, if I'm a boss, I try to use all my instrument of power, and we can see it also on all levels of systems. If it's on the government level, yeah, government use media, use weapons to persuade others to take their point of view. Uh, but it's absolutely different way of thinking and connection uh, to try to understand and find the best solution for both sides, not just for me, for my neighbor also. So I start to love my neighbor and understand my neighbor much more, and then I can understand what does it mean, this word, to love your neighbor, that we are all together, we are all family, we are all living system, and I depend of well-being. My well-being depend on well-being of my neighbor.
So you say it's also about the listening or how to listen, not
Yeah,
not only listen but hearing the other
yeah, yeah, and feeling,
and the feeling with the heart.
hearing through feelings. I would say.
For me, it's also, you know, when you talk about acceptance and collaboration and teamwork and the listening with the heart, not only with the ears. It's also about the ability to be flexible, and it's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. It comes also in NLP practice that they say that the flexible will rule the system, will
Mm-hmm.
win the system, not the strongest one, but the flexible one. So
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
ability of my ability to adopt and not
yeah.
to be a leader as a strong and um, there's some principles that I'm just thinking about the audience that maybe hear now this and listen to this video, and we're actually about we are talking about also about the principles of the open dialogue. And my previous question was about the transformational moments, and I'm still remember that I didn't hear the answer, but
Uh-huh.
maybe later, maybe as you're holding the groups, and I heard that every group for you is about some magic that happens. Um, is there any principle that you are really stick to it? So that is very important because there's some. So any audience, any participant that will attend to the group will hear all the theoretical part of the that is in the beginning. Actually, we are talking about a little bit about theory, so we can know the agreements and all the rules and all the etc etc etc. But as I hear and I my last year in the school in Russia was about to meet a lot of people and to listen to a lot of people, and each of us, because we are very subjective, very personal view of what is the open dialogue is for us. And
Yeah.
uh, I mentioned, I noticed that for each person there is something most important. Maybe on that period of time is like we are taking the attention to. And my question to you is, what is it in your experience and point of view for your life, maybe the most interesting of to explore, the most the principle that more interesting for you to explore and to stick to.
Yeah. Speaking about the transformation of myself, um, integration of these principles in my life. This was my transformation. This was a transformation of my way of communication, and everything what I'm speaking about, it's my own experience. How, it was my thinking before open dialogue, and my way of communication now, after I've got these principles and integrated them in my life. So the most important principle from open dialogue and living functional systems is honesty, like we understand it in our social life. In functional system on the physiology language, it's the most correct translation of information, transferring information from one point to another. So to not to avoid any distortion in your information you deliver to other person. And in our life and my life before open dialogue, to little bit change and twist information was normal way for me, and it was always understandable for me because I want to achieve something, so I can say something little bit different way to somebody, and it was always explanation for this, and I thought it's okay, it's normal to do this, and I didn't realize the effect which caused this small twist. It's like a snowball, getting more and more distortions, and we never know how bad results we will get at the end. And when I started to check all things which I deliver to other people in my words, any information, writing, speaking with people, I noticed how much easier and free I feel myself when I don't need to hold all these distortions in my head, whom I told, what I told, and it made me much more free and happier and easier in connection with people, in communications, when I don't think how I'm going to speak with person, because I always will speak honestly with a person. But another thing, which is very important, is purpose. Sometimes when we deliver information, we wrap like good words around the central part we want to deliver in this nice words, like box with surprise inside, and people can feel this and can understand this, and this also just destroy communications. So I always think what I want to deliver by my message and why. Is it proper time for this or not? Is it proper person or not? And it also let me, it support, this principles support each other. And it helped me to be honest when I can understand why I deliver this information, what I want to say, which message I want to give the person. And it also deleted so many difficulties from my life when I can avoid wrong communications. I can easy to manage my time. I don't lose my time for not right communications. I always understand why I want to tell this. So where will this way lead me to which result? So this is was my transformation, my personal transformation, and I improved communications with my relatives a lot. Uh, Very many people I can see now in my clients have broken relationships with their parents, with their brothers and sisters, and this was the same in my life. It was very difficult to speak with my mom. It was a little bit cold relationships with my sister, but now I have very good communications with everybody because I don't want to change people and I can accept them as they are. And this is also a very important principle. And as you told, not to be strong as you, because life is flow, and you can be flexible to adjust to this flow, to follow with this flow. If you will be as a stone, you will be mm, anything which is constant. There is no anything constant in life, and it's only illusion that strong people, they are maybe strong from outside but maybe weak inside. It's not as strong as it's maybe so, I forgot this word. So if I like to describe things through our body. So if we will have strong and solid veins, and our pressure, blood of our pressure will rise. So it will be insult, and our vein will broken, and it's make them fragile. They are strong, but they are fragile. And only flexible veins can be wider when the blood pressure rises, and can let this flow go, and to be narrow when it doesn't necessary. Yeah. So it's the same. All our life, it's a wave, and we can't be just there like a line, very direct.
So it was about the integration, about the honesty, and the purpose. I heard also about the
Yeah.
self-regulation that you learn maybe inside. There's a cause and effect between the our actions and the reaction outside, and sometimes it's vice versa. From the action we do our actions. But I heard something that about the inner process of uh, analyzing and maybe realizing the cause of the inner experience or maybe intentions, like you said about the maybe digging that there, maybe don't say all the truth there, and maybe like moving in order to, and when you like going very very heavy because you need to remember about everything you told and whatever. And something happened that I heard, maybe it was me who heard that, about the self-regulation and the analyzing and knowing that you can do differently because you know your purpose and you can be honest, and it's not about something too heavy or too hard to achieve. Just to be honest, actually for me honesty, it's very brave thing. And sometimes I don't know how it, like it was, I didn't know how is it to be honest? What is it to be honest? Is it about truth telling to and to share any secrets of my life, to everybody? It's not about that. It's about something different. So I heard about the self regulation, and for me it's also very transforming. Also very transforming. How do you think that a new student or maybe new participant to the group can achieve sort of effects like we are sharing now into our group? How it happens, in your opinion?
Uh, it's not in school. It's not only groups. It's also webinars and supportive information where we explain how does it work.
Mm.
What led groups us to feel? It's a very safe environment when you can express yourself and try this experience, to get this experience, to be yourself, without any judgment, without any criticism. Just realize what you feel and try to express this. For many people, it's new experience because they don't have this type of environment anywhere.
Mm.
They always exposed in front of other people, and they always have to uh, hold the image to
Mm.
be something which other people expect from them, and they don't have really even any opportunity to be yourself, and they can think some they even start to learn to think about themselves from other expectations, from how they have to feel themselves, and they can't even really understand this difference, what I'm really feel and what I should feel from others' expectations. And this is a very basic step of the beginning to start to not to be scared to express yourself,
Mm.
to be yourself, to feel who you are really. Even it's even investigation and something new for our personal life, because we from our childhood we was in this mm, type of life when we always have to coincide to others expectations, our parents expectations, our uh, teachers expectations, and we don't have any opportunity to be ourselves without any judgment, without any criticism, without any marks. Uh, and this is very, very important. This is the most important thing uh, which gives open dialogue groups. And then when we started to feel ourselves, we can have another step. We starting to feel others, because other people in the group also open themselves for themselves first of all, and then I can see that how many people around me have the same problems, speak the same words, feel the same, think the same thoughts, feel the same feelings, and then I can feel connections between these people, and how, as long as I in the group, I train these skills to be myself and feel myself. And then what you mentioned about speaking the truth, it's not just speaking the truth, to tell the truth to everybody in any place. It's uh, finding the truth inside of me, what I'm really feel, and what is healthy or unhealthy for me. And we all have this inner feelings, and we need to find connection with them first of all, and then we will have this our own truth, which we can believe. Then it's not about saying everybody about anything. It's about understanding what is the truth for me, what is really important for me, and what I want to express, not to be uh, to 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 be liar with myself. If I understand, it's understandable.
It's
No.
very understandable. I remember that you started with the safety and you came to the point of from the safe place you can connect to yourself and to express
Yeah,
yourself and to learn
yeah,
what is your inner authentic part,
yeah,
and there's the
yeah,
ability to show it outside and to make a first step. How? Because in a regular world we are so need that masks, we so need to, in order
yeah,
to survive. Don't thrive, survive. First of all, to survive,
yeah,
and that survival is about the safety, our basic need in safety. So in those
yeah,
laboratory, I call it community communication lab. It's actually the lab that we come into, and we can practice and we can experience new, and sometimes we can mistake, but we won't get the judgment that we're really familiar in a regular basic daily life. So you can come and you can experience what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and when you can try outside, and when you coming back and you feel like you want to feel that safety, back to safety, and from the safety you express yourself. And really like that point that exploring not the honesty from inside outside, from it's more from inside to inside. Like,
yeah,
what is honest in me? Because all that mask, all that lies that we don't, it's not only about telling it outside, it's telling to ourselves,
yeah,
and we're like becoming that roles liar to ourselves about our honest
yeah,
parts, who we are, why we are here, and where do we go, where do we want to go, and how do we want to go. Yes, I think it was like for
absolutely.
me it was about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You are right. And this very interesting moment you mentioned about masks,
Mm,
because we started to uh, put this mask on ourselves in our childhood, when we are really vulnerable and we don't know how to avoid rejection and criticism, and we have to surround ourselves with this protection uh, to protect our vulnerability. But in our group we can uh, put all these weapons on the side and try to be ourselves, and then we can realize and find the strength to be vulnerable and to be natural, and we don't need to hold these masks anymore. And we through this practice and studying, we can be natural and open to the world, and then world are open, started to be open to us. And like in the group, we started to be open with ourselves first, and then we realized that other people open with us also. And this form, this pattern of behavior, we can train like a skill, and then go to the open world in our usual common life, and translate and deliver the same behavior, and be already without all these masks, without all this weapon, and be much more friendly. And world started to turn by this friendly side to us, because to be in the army equipment, you frighten your neighbor, and your neighbor start to be also in this fighting position.
Yeah.
So this works both sides.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was like into some open dialogue for the moment, and then we were on an interview. As a process that I really like the way that you facilitate the groups, and also I learned a lot from you. My first groups were with your facilitation, and it was really remarkable moments. Today, when I facilitate myself too, I tell that open dialogue can actually release that inner conflicts, light situations that were in conflict with people. We can also develop our non-violent communication skill, like to connect with myself, how to express myself, how to listen with empathy, um, not only listen but also hearing what's going on the other side, and not just okay, I listened to you and okay, I heard you and whatever. And also, actually, that when you told that was resonated to you when I said the mask and all that trauma periods, like there's a saying that we're all coming from our childhood, all the deep traumas, sometimes even from our past reincarnations, previous reincarnation, like coming out like the big inner motives of experiencing some very bad scenarios. And I say that all the guys that and girls who practicing the unconscious and mindfulness and to unconscious, we can also through the open dialogue transform our inner motive and patterns. And it's very interesting to me to talk with you about that because you're also into Akashic Akashic
Method.
method. And I would like to, for you, like we're talking, we talked about a lot of about the open dialogue, and I think it's a lot of information for the new participant or maybe a student and come to try. And it's it's also about different point of view, because when I speak about the open dialogue, okay, Israel talk and he sees in that way, and suddenly Katerina comes and she tells, oh, it made me something else, and I see it like they, and the honesty for me is that pinkle of the pinkle, and oh, I can see it also that way. So it's a paradigm, shift in the moment. So it is so important. But I heard from you that you are also like practicing the open dialogue as a facilitator in a Russian school, but also holding your own open dialogue groups, but you call it a little bit different, yes? And you like working with your clients in the perspective of that therapy. Can you tell me about that a little bit so we can know about your like professional areas that you like into?
Yes, thank you for this question. It's interesting. I called my groups like my mind extension group,
Mm.
and because in open dialogue it's like a kindergarten for people who just try to start and meet this practice. But on my mind extension groups, uh, most of all come people who has experience and big experience in open dialogue practice. And we, the base is the same, to be honest, to express yourself, but also we can express our previous experiences because everybody has very wild and very broad big knowledges in different fields, and when people can understand where is the conception, where is the advice, and to share their experience as their something they integrated in themselves. It's a different level of sharing your experience, a little bit more than just giving advice without understanding personal problem. So in our groups, we are sharing some knowledge, but through the inner experience, through this very honest and natural feelings, like on the open dialogue schools, open dialogue practice in school. And we sometimes we are using some new tools. Every group is absolutely new experiment for us. So, and I do this once a month, and it's sometimes I give some knowledge from numerology in this group. Sometimes I share some principles of our thinking to improve, to help people to get their insights. And this is a little bit maybe higher level of understanding of practice and which results it can bring. But it's possible. It became possible after I studied this RTT therapy. This is also a unique method of psychotherapy, which also connected from different tools. It's hypnotherapy, psychological therapy, and NLP also, neuro-linguistic, and some different things. And it also based on the scientists' evidence of how our subconscious mind work, how we get our blueprints and beliefs from our childhood. On the open dialogue school, sometimes, and it's very often, people can find their patterns of behavior, their patterns of thinking. But through open dialogue, they can't change their mind blueprint sometimes, because it's much deeper. It's not only it's not enough only conscious understanding to improve things. Sometimes we have to go to subconscious mind and find what was the root of this pattern of thinking, and find this situation. And when we delete it, we can establish new healthy beliefs on this place, and through specific methods to grow new neurological connections, and start to new ways of beliefs and behavior.
It sounds to me like a mind extension. What you do is like going deeper and higher and more integrated. When somebody
Yes.
comes to open dialogue, he can experience and
Yes.
actually have a lot of impact. But sometimes there's a bit inner. So the open dialogue comes like an instrument that you can achieve certain goals in your life, and maybe to not maybe make it healthier in social field, in social aspect of communication. But when it comes to the inner partners, it, it very depends, I guess, to the depth of that pattern. So it can go also to that explorational field of what's going on a deeper level, so we can transform it as well. But I see the open dialogue as the gate to that space. So for somebody, it's okay to come and to have that skills and to get connected, and it can have a huge impact. But for those who want to get deeper, there's a way. So we are exploring and we are like developing, and it's cool thing. It's cool thing.
Yeah.
Katerina, I was very happy. I don't know how. It's about 1 hour that we are talking right now, and it's such a pleasure for me. I felt during this interview a little bit as an interviewer or maybe a journalist, like exploring who you are. And sometimes I felt also in the middle of the theoretical part of the open dialogue session, and it was let's share the emotions, let's go into this session over the open dialogue. And now I discovered also about the mind extension that sounds very interesting to me as well. So for me, it was great pleasure to have you here in the show. And I hope if you have anything to say, maybe to the audience who first time sees this kind of content about the open dialogue, maybe it's time to share, to
Yes,
reflect,
thank you very much.
to reflect.
Yes, I want to say a big thank you to you for having me, for invitation. It was very interesting experience for me to speak in English about this, and it was very nice to have you like a interviewer, because you are in this practice. You can see from inside of this practice, and your questions was very interesting, and I felt you understand very good this subject, and it let us, I think, and hope to open this much on the level which can attract people to this method. And also, I want to say that there is no one unique tool for which good for everybody. So there are a lot of different practices, but in this, in open dialogue, we can find ourselves. We can feel ourselves, like meet ourselves the first time. This is a very unique and interesting practice. And of course, I know you have experience in some other different practices, and yeah, I'm sure you integrate your knowledge in your groups of open dialogue also. And this all of integration and all of about developing ourselves all time, looking for something new, how to improve our life of ourselves, our circles, our families, and also our clients, to help them to achieve the better life and their well-being, better health, better self-realization, better relationships. So this, everything about this, all my practices, as numerolog, as Akashic practice, as open dialogue facilitator and RTT therapist. So it's everything about improving our life to be happier and healthier.
Yeah, yeah. It's cool. So, guys, we discovered today. Thank you, Katerina. Thank you so much. It was such a great pleasure, and all the reflections and all the insights and different lightnings, on the different topics of this, because the open dialogue in this point of view that we are like recovered in this interview. Um, it's also about the nonviolent communication. It's also about the developing the skills of communication to get healthier and to express yourself and to be in contact with yourself. But it's also about transformation, and transformation not only of my life but also my relationships, and maybe with my
Yeah.
close your sister and your mother, as you mentioned. My
Yeah.
relationships have changed in 1 year. It's like mind blowing. My mom came to the group when I was facilitating in Russian, and was like, "Whoa, my mom comes to the transformational groups. What does she do here?" Like, she's not in the age, not a, no, but she felt happy to be there, and she even cried a little bit. And it was like, what's going on? Like surprising moments of happiness, small moments of happiness. So. For the new audience and first time, it's about this is all this is what is all about. So the links to my site and also to the site of Katerina will be published under this video, so you can have more information if you'd like to join our groups of open dialogue and mind extension, and maybe have some more experience of practice of therapy practice in order to go beyond and transform some parts that we are here to help. And we were very very happy to be with you this evening, morning, whatever time you are looking, and wherever you're looking at this video from. And we hope to see you in our groups. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.